Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Mother's Day. You know what's ironic? On Mother's Day, we're watching a video about a bad mother. We're starting the Ruby Franke series, okay, on Law and Crime. The reason I wanted to do this because I know of her. I seen something. I know what she did, like only to a T. I just know that she like locked her kids up. I think, I don't know, but I want to know the full story. So this is going to be like a couple of series because there's a couple of these. It's a lot of them. So this is a deep dive. I do want to start doing these. I already uploaded it. My plan is to have the deep dive videos on Fridays and Sundays, okay? So because the reason is because they're longer. I can look into them more, and it gives me time to put this in order because I really need to do a full schedule for this channel, y'all, especially since I'm doing a lot of cases, okay, like reacting to all these cases and trying to see what's going on, get my own opinion. Plus I really love it, okay? So yeah, we're gonna jump into this because I'm so curious about I don't know her background. I think, is she a Mormon? I don't even know what that is. So hopefully they tell me all this. This is I guess this is the overview of everything. I know she's a YouTube mom. She's a family vlogger. She is a crazy control freak. I know that. So we're just going to get into it because I'm actually curious about this woman. Why is it so big? Like I said, I have not stuck up on, stayed on this at all. So I'm starting from the bottom, building my way up to see what happened. I'm not a family vlogger. What's the word? I'm not a fan of family vloggers. I'm not a fan of people who exploit their kids, and she abused her kids mentally and emotionally and probably physically, obviously, as the reason she was arrested. This case became so big. I kept seeing her name everywhere. I was like, what happened to her? Literally, what happened to her? How does somebody you abuse your kids to that point to lock them up in a basement of a beautiful home? It's just, I don't know. And I think they said it's the way she was raised. I don't know. Okay, so that's why we're gonna react to this together. I am gonna pause it sometime because I don't want it to just I want to get my opinions throughout because it is it's not too long. It's almost 40 minutes, this video will probably be an hour. No, am I talking, y'all? So we're just gonna jump right into it, okay?
Crime.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. We need the cops here as soon as possible.
It's the 911 call heard around the world, casting the spotlight on a popular YouTuber.
If you're in a position of power and you turn your power and give it over to the kids, that is control.
And her partner in crime.
Hi, I'm Jodi Hildebrandt. I am at the second annual Women's Retreat.
I'm as shocked as anybody. Her and Ruby were just the two wrong things to come together.
In a story that has layers.
She can stay right here on the porch so you can see her.
What are you afraid of, sir?
Upon layers.
Jodi is very smart in how she approaches her therapeutic modalities. It's like a frog being boiled in water. You start off with the cold water and slowly turn up the temperature.
Oh, we about to get into it, y'all. Let's see. Also, while that's going, look at the blue. We are nice for Mother's Day.
Our next story takes us all the way out west, but this is a case that had the entire nation buzzing when it broke in late summer 2023. And it all began with one chilling 911 phone call.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help.
Where does she live?
August 30th, 2023, Ivins, Utah. What you're hearing is not your typical 911 phone call. But this isn't your typical case, and it all begins with one woman.
Worshipping your child will be placing your child's desires over responsibility.
This is Ruby Franke.
I am kind of a crazy mom in that I love my kids to wear red, white, and blue. They have been wearing red, white, and blue every year since they were wearing clothes.
Ruby Franke was a YouTuber and had millions of followers for her 8 Passengers channel. That's where Ruby's claim to fame really came from.
I think the kids are more excited about the presents the siblings are getting.
8 Passengers was started several years ago by both Ruby Franke and her husband, Kevin.
You guys, we are in Florida.
And the kids had no idea.
They have 6 children together, And it was kind of that initial mommy blog YouTube channel where Ruby would basically invite people into her life with her husband and her children.
You guys are gonna watch each other. I made dinner, but you have to eat dinner. Got it? No.
Silly business.
I was gonna say hanky panky, but that's not right, I'm pretty sure. No silly business. That's better.
She focused her family as the main driving source of content for her platform.
What is this?
It's a cake and inside is the color of the baby.
So we're gonna find out if it's pink or if it's blue.
A lot of the kids you almost saw grow up in that YouTube channel.
Do you want to start dating? Like, I don't know if I've ever asked you that. I just assumed that you didn't.
I wouldn't care if I started dating, but I'm 13 and I feel like I'm too young.
You know that you can always come talk to me, right? If you ever want to. Good talk.
8 Passengers was the...
Yeah, he didn't want to be on camera. I wanted her to say this, y'all. I know a lot about a couple of family vloggers. When you go down that rabbit hole, it's dark because they exploit their kids. A lot of people don't want to be on camera and they like force it. That was forced, heavily forced. It's like, why would you... I just think that's so weird. Why would parents... It's so personal. But they show... That's the thing. These family vloggers, they show everything. And I've never understood that. Like, that's what they do when they become obsessed with trying to be famous on YouTube.
Ride of the Franke family with over 2 million subscribers over the years. Most likely by parents who were looking at this, looking at the tactics used, looking to them for advice, as so many do on social media.
But you yelled at me.
Shh. The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret. We don't want our viewers to know.
However, these videos started to take a dark turn.
Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch. I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, so the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry.
People were upset about whatever was happening on this channel. Parenting tactics or how the children were being treated.
You have to vote. Listen, if you do not vote for what fun you want, we will ensure you will have no fun at all.
There were people who were concerned about the things that she was doing to punish her children. She had her son who left his socks outside, made him do push-ups.
Put them in your pocket so you can take them down to the hamper and drop and give me 10.
1.
Put your hands straight out. They're not supposed to be out. Shape your hands forward. There you go.
There was another situation where her oldest son ended up losing his bed for several months.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
Sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October.
Chad came home from Anasazi and
Russell was like, I want to try dunking the basketball, and I lifted him up on the rim. And left him there. We shot 3 minutes, and he was just hanging on there.
Do you think it's funny? Because
And then I walked out.
if you think it's funny, then that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
It was not funny.
There were a lot of...
Why was that? What kind of tactic is this? What kind of parenting tactic is this supposed to be? Push-ups, and that wouldn't be a problem, but the way she sounds so condescending when she was standing on camera, and obviously it's supposed to be a punishment. Making your daughter starve at school, your little kid starve at school because she didn't pack a lunch. Taking away your son's bed for months. Oh my God, that is so uncomfortable. I can't sleep on a beanbag for like some months. And to do all this on camera is the weirdest part. What is that? That's so weird. Oh, we're just getting into this. Okay, I'm kind of getting the gist of what's going on, y'all.
who were really put off by that. And that led to them criticizing her online.
When looking at the change.org platform, there are a couple of petitions pertaining to Ruby Franke and 8 passengers. There's one from 2020 that actually says, get 8 passengers, Ruby Franke, under investigation for child abuse. There's also another one that still has almost 18,000 signatures. There were obvious concerns.
Eve, this is my tape. What are you doing? What are you doing to this poor baby? Should I tape your eyes to make you sleep?
The biggest thing was seeing all the kids get hurt on the YouTube channels. When I saw split fingers and bloody noses, the things that I saw were off camera, and they were all the stuff at parties. They were just patterns of behavior, saying things like, oh, if my kids won't go to bed, I just give them Tylenol PMs. One conversation with Ruby was over dinner, and me and her argued the whole time about parenting for like a half an hour. For me, there was red flags throughout all of that.
We do know over the years there were a number of calls to Ruby's home in Springville for a variety of things. Some were welfare checks, just checking on their family because the kids were left alone, according to one of the narratives.
Hi, my name is Sherry Franke. My 4 younger siblings are living in Springville, and my neighbors have been telling me that they have been left home alone for about 4 or 5 days.
The CPS visits didn't amount to much. A lot of those are private records. We're not able to get those records. What we did see is Springville police assisting. There's no details of how they proceeded, but clearly they didn't proceed in a certain direction.
In 2022, Ruby Franke stops posting on the 8 Passengers channel. There's a new person in Franke's life, and they're taking up a lot of her time.
Hi, I'm Jodi Hildebrandt. I am at the 2nd annual Women's Retreat in St. George, Utah.
Please stop dancing like this, and geez, that's a jump scare. People like this, people like her, she look like she don't need to be on the internet. Like, stay offline. She look like she's up to something. And, you know, these mothers, it's so crazy because it is Mother's Day, and we're seeing what you should not do on Mother's Day. Just, once again, a lot of people who don't need kids, I just don't understand, why would you treat your kids bad? Why would you force to humiliate them online? Like, what is that supposed to do to their self-esteem? That's so sad for, like, I'm trying to check something out. That's so sad for, like, the child. Is that how they was raised? Let me just get through playing that.
Brandt was a licensed clinical mental health counselor in the state of Utah. Ruby was working for Jodi at Connections.
Hi, we are live in Mapleton, Utah, and we have Ruby here. And Ruby is a part of the original 10 women that are being trained to fitness trainers.
Connections is essentially a life coaching group or offering from Jodi Hildebrandt. She was the founder of Connections Classroom, but she had 2 other people that worked for her in Connections. One woman is named Pam Botcher, the president of the Connections Foundation, which was actually listed as a nonprofit. The other was Ruby Franke, who was listed as a certified mental fitness trainer.
A man or a woman can be being abusive and they still will have their children given to them, which is horrible. This little boy that you have depends on you, Mom. And I'm hoping that you will be a lioness to protect him.
Connections offered one-on-one coaching sessions with Jodi, or couples classes, or specific classes for women and specific classes for men as it pertained to perhaps strengthening your relationship or getting the most out of your life.
There are all these different behaviors that kids and adults go into to distract themselves.
Is this what is this what it looks like when she's recording to you? I would think it would look like a little more professional. It just looked like, it looked like she's just in her house. And I'm pretty sure it's probably during COVID or something, I don't know. But I would think, if you have a whole business, you would want it to be professional. I would just say that, y'all.
From the fear that they don't matter.
But Jodi Hildebrandt isn't without her own controversies.
Yeah, what is it?
She was actually put on probation back in January of 2012 for some of the things that she did ethically as it pertained to an individual that she was counseling. His name was Adam Steed. Adam actually saw Jodi back in 2008, and it came out that Jodi shared a lot of his personal client privilege information with members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and also members of a local institution, Brigham Young University, where Adam was working at the time.
I was just so messed up emotionally and mentally after Jodi Hildebrandt that I was scared of my own name. You know, when you're a victim of child abuse and your therapist, Jodi Hildebrandt, tells you the PTSD and the trauma from that is just your sexual addiction, and then she throws you into a class, and then the other three guys start talking about being a voyeurist with victims, being an exhibitionist with victims, being an incest person with victims, it was extremely uncomfortable.
We have spent 24 hours between the 2 days talking about how to recognize distortion and move it into truth. We have cried and we have laughed and we have applauded and we have invited people into boundaries. They're very interested in coming back, bringing their spouses.
She wouldn't let me leave therapy. She contacted other therapists and told them terrible things about me so that I couldn't get help elsewhere. She was just punishing me and trying to control my life. When I started to ask certain questions, she just changed everything and went on a complete assassination.
Connections is your...
There really are people like this. So psychologically determined to ruin you. This woman is crazy. I can already see. Okay, I see exactly what they're talking about with her too. And the fact that this has been going on since like early 2000s, like what? I don't understand how, there is a thing called confidentiality, like, patient confidentiality. And I think that's so crazy if that like get broken, especially into that degree. And with these family vloggers, like, God, they need to stay offline. They say all their business. They say like their kids' business, because a lot of them adopted kids. They tell their business, which is all illegal. And I don't understand how like these welfare checks just don't be like, they don't know the system. They know, but they don't care because they're like, they just see they're taken care of. But it's like you have people like this who extort children and extort their clients for money and for views. And the fact that she took it that next step to like ruin him with other therapists, that is sick. That is like just a sick human being. And I swear I had this. Like, why just...
It's an anomaly in the world. People don't understand that they can actually heal their pain.
And also, she looks slow. She's not saying nothing that I'm getting. I think it sounds like she's talking in like in tongues, like back and forth. Like I don't know what she's talking about. It sounds like, those people that want to sound inspirational. That's what this is giving me. Okay.
And if you have not joined the Connections family, I would encourage you strongly.
I would not join
She brought everybody. And now she was saying I was mentally unhealthy and I couldn't choose for myself. I lost my children, a huge amount of their lives because of this.
Adam Steed is not the only person who comes forward about Jodi Hildebrandt.
She strips you of identity, she strips you of credibility, she isolates. And so she's saying everything that you say is a lie. Everything that you say is manipulation. You're lying and destroying everyone's life. So for the sake of everyone else's safety, we're duct taping you.
This is Jessie Hildebrandt, Jodi's niece, who alleges physical, emotional, and mental abuse they suffered under the care of their aunt when they were younger.
I was sleeping outside in the snow in the middle of winter in Utah. I wasn't allowed to have a bed. She told everyone that it was like a mummy bag, sub-zero type of sleeping bag. No, it was absolutely not. Her justification to the police was that she was preparing me for outdoor wilderness therapy.
We talked about sexuality, relationships in truth rather than distortion. And so these women gave some...
Never trust people that just smile, okay? Because she's been smiling in all these videos and it's not working. Making kids sleep in the snow, that's like, you're not in the military. God, people just, they think they're doing something, and then when they grow up following, it is like they just turn. It's like you flip a switch and just ruin it. Like, these women, what were they trying to accomplish? That's what I want to know. What I'm pretty sure they're going to tell me. What was the goal of this? To like make freaking robots that's not realistic? Because that's what this sounds like. None of their advice makes sense, okay? Nothing they said has like made sense to me. I'm just like, okay, like what? And somebody try to ruin my credibility, oh, I'm going back. I'm going to ruin you 120%. There ain't no way.
Amazing points of the sacredness of sexuality.
And they talk so
and
condescending.
The utmost importance in order to be able to be in a centered, connected relationship.
Jodi kind of prescribes herself as being this person who's very much into honesty, and her whole brand is kind of owning up to who you are and what you've done. She tends to be, I think, a bit more strict than what most counselors would be. And really, probably at the end of the day, her and Ruby were just the two wrong things to come together.
When we return, Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt are thrust into the national spotlight.
A 12-year-old male showed up with tape around his leg Thursday asking for help, said he was afraid asking for pleas.
But I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
We're in Utah, where mom of 6, Ruby Franke, who spent years documenting the lives of her children and husband Kevin on the once popular YouTube channel 8 Passengers, has stopped posting videos on the page. This after receiving backlash over her disciplinary and parenting style.
Mine who hate me, who would like to cancel me, who would like to see me either burn in hell, as I've told, or disappear off the face of the earth, and I'm not going anywhere.
Franke partners up with Jodi Hildebrandt, a mental health counselor who runs a life coaching business known as Connections.
So Ruby, you want to tell us about what a mental fitness trainer is?
Yes, so we are getting mentally fit. We are getting ready to be your mental fitness trainer. We're getting truth, really easy to teach, and help you, and you're gonna feel so much better.
Absolutely.
But Hildebrandt herself has come under fire for her alleged manipulative and physical abuse techniques.
She didn't want me to leave her therapy group. I couldn't go to any other therapist. I was trying to go to other therapists because they were saying I was an addict in denial, and it was just crazy. When I tried to get away, she changed everything and went after me in the most bizarre way I've ever seen, and then ruined my whole life.
Jodi is very smart in how she approaches her therapeutic modalities. Because they are so extreme, if she were just to start out with those things, everyone would recognize it and they would be shocked and it'd be like, absolutely not. But she's very subtle and she's very calculated. It's like a frog being boiled in water. You start off with the cold water and slowly turn up the temperature.
The only way you can actually have a fulfilling, and I don't mean physiologically fulfilling, I'm talking about a spiritual fulfilling sexual relationship, it starts with self and then it moves into your partner.
But this partnership between Franke and Hildebrandt has devastating consequences.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help.
The Santa Clara Ivins Public Safety area basically got a phone call, and officers were alerted of a situation at a home in Ivins, Utah, the home of Jodi Hildebrandt. That is where 2 of Ruby Franke's younger children were at the time 9 and 12. One of them was able to leave and run to a neighbor's house.
There's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry and he's thirsty. And he asked us to call the police. So he's very afraid.
By listening to that 911.
Oh my God. Duct tape on his legs. He's emancipated, hungry. How do you just sit there? How do a mother just sit there and let you duct tape your child? What kind of love is like? That's straight up abuse. And the fact that she thought that was okay, they need to study her brain. That's not normal. All this stuff she's been saying so far is like not normal to her kids. Jeez, and once again, I still 100% her and all those people involved. Also, the child welfare people who check on these, they said they had welfare checks, but they wouldn't do anything because they just see they're fed and hungry, fed in a nice house. That's all they see, which is always more to the story. You know, there's always more. That's crazy. That is actually did not expect that.
Which still haunts me to this day as a father of a 2-year-old myself. The neighbor, an older gentleman, extremely compassionate in this situation and can't believe what has just stumbled upon his doorstep.
Where were they?
I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. We need the cops here as soon as possible.
The 911 call is heartbreaking.
That's so sad.
The 12-year-old son ends up getting out of a window in their basement and make his way to the neighbor's house. He's asking for a drink and food. The neighbor, he sees ligature marks. He sees what he describes as emaciated and malnourished. Based on what was found on his wrists and his ankles, this child was tied up for quite some time.
Russell was the one they found first. There was bruising and blistering because of some of the tactics that were used with the cayenne pepper and the honey to put in the wounds and then plastered back over with some of the wrap. It was less described about Eve than it was Russell.
Both Russell and his sister Eve are taken to the hospital.
Cayenne pepper and honey over a wound? It sounded like she she literally went on the deep end and just said fuck it and she don't care. That's I never heard of that. Who to a child? Oh my god, that's oh my god. That's I actually never heard of people doing that. They should have took their own advice. Why they want to? These are people who want to give other people with kids advice. How dare they? Take your own advice and learn how to parent your kids. Actually, how about you go away and give your kids to somebody else who actually want to raise them because you don't need them. And you know what? I didn't think it was going to go this route. I don't know what I was expecting in this video, y'all. I'm like, okay, they're giving horrible advice and not taking it, which is what it was, but I didn't know it was to that extent. Were they beating these kids? Because that's what it sounds like too.
For malnourishment and
basically.
Injuries. But there's another pressing issue.
I want to see her get arrested.
Where are Ruby's other minor children?
Also, where's the dad? Okay, where's the man of the house? Protect your kids, sir? I know, I just keep hearing about her. Where is the dad in all this? Does he not stop this? I'm confused with that.
Officers from a number of agencies in Utah County, Springville Police,
Thank you.
Utah County Major Crimes Task Force, they went to Ruby Franke's home in Springville because they wanted to locate the 2 outstanding children that were under the age of 18. So when officers get to the house, they try to obviously knock on the door, and then they kick the door down. They basically blow right through the door and they clear the house. They realize the children are not there. And then around noon or so, we start to hear that Ruby Franke called her friend, who is Jodi's longtime friend, Pam Botcher.
There's 2. There's one other sibling we're still looking for, considered still as dangerous, and DCFS has a warrant to take them both into custody. Pam was seen picking up in the Springville Rec Center around 1:15 today, and that's how we kind of figured that out and had you guys go out there.
I'm looking for Pam. Is Pam in today?
Yeah, that's my wife.
Is your wife? She's here? Hi. Hello, Pam. How are you doing?
Good.
Pam Botcher is the 3rd member of Connections class group.
Did she get arrested
the
too?
2 girls were found at Pam Botcher's home. They were unharmed.
You have a warrant?
Yeah, we do.
She look crazy.
You just tell them you're all right?
Well, you have to physically see her.
Under that doorway.
What's interesting about all of this, when they reach the front door and they ask to speak with Pam Botcher, both her and her husband are stunned. They don't understand what is going on.
We'll go ahead and get the copy of the warrant for you, okay?
You have a warrant for my house?
Specifically for you.
For you and the child.
Yeah. Okay. So.
What is going on?
They ask Pam to come with them. They do place her into custody in a detainment form by actually putting cuffs on her and putting her in one of the patrol cars. They talk to Pam about what she knows about Ruby, what the 2 girls were doing there, how she had the 2 girls initially.
Is Ruby Franke's daughter. She's a friend of ours. I did make her scrub the floor and they vacuumed and stuff because I have company coming tonight from Costa Rica.
Okay.
So, but she did it of her own free will.
Pam says about 5 to 10 to 20 times in this conversation in the body camera, they were just doing some cleaning for me. We ate some ice cream. That's all it is.
So just to make sure I'm understanding all this correctly, Ruby contacted you around noon.
Said she had a family emergency.
And needed you to pick up the girls.
Yeah, she said, would you mind watching the girls while I'm gone? Because she was leaving. I said, yeah, I could do that because I need some help cleaning. I just went to the pool and said, hey, they have a family emergency. Can I pick up? She said, sure. Your mom said you could come help me clean today. She said, okay.
Okay. And what about
Ruby just told me she'd be at the Ace Hardware.
So in Pam's defense, she was extremely confused because I don't think the officer had all the facts because they were getting this from another agency, and then finally things started coming together. As we sit here and talk today, Pam has not been charged with anything.
Okay.
She's not involved in any of this. However, I am curious to know if they questioned her about any of the things that went on with Ruby and Jodi throughout the entire court proceeding.
Is it possible I could talk to you by my car? A little out of so we can just talk?
Yeah, she can go in and lock the door.
Go in and lock the door. Yeah. If this officer goes with you, her, sure.
No.
No?
When police do end up finding the children at Pam's house, it's not just a conversation that they have with Pam. They talk to Pam's husband, who is very standoffish, obstinate in a way.
Always those people. Which I get.
Absolutely.
What are you afraid of, sir? So that's what I'm going to brief you on, but I want to say...
I'm telling you, I'm answering your question. Number one, I don't know what's going on. Number two, I don't want Springville to drive up and you guys whisk her away. Number three, her mom isn't here right now. And I feel like I'm kind of trying to protect her from getting into a bad situation.
And it's not just Botcher's husband who seems resistant.
Do you need medical attention, Will? Okay. Is there a reason you're so scared right now? It's us? Okay. My intention is not to scare you. Are you okay? Or is there something that I can do to make you not feel as scared right now? Or would you rather not talk?
The children don't really want to engage with police. They're standoffish.
Girls have been melancholy, literally just sitting on the porch, haven't really said a word to us. They whisper stuff to each other.
Well, they're just sort of saying that they might be rough.
The children are ultimately taken into state custody. Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt are arrested and charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse each, with respect to Russell and Eve's injuries.
You're talking about serious bodily injury and you get to the aggravated child abuse portion of it, which is a second-degree felony. That's a 1 to 15 year sentence, which is what these charges ended up being. Sometimes that's related to emotional abuse. Sometimes that's related to severe malnutrition. It can be a combination of them.
The arrest of Franke and Hildebrandt sets off a firestorm.
It really gained the interest from people around the world about how this could take place and how these two lives between Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt came together, and just how messy it gets. And I think the rest of the world couldn't believe it because this is something that happens in a movie, right? This is something that is the worst of the worst.
Ruby Franke's own family reacted to the arrest, and on Instagram, her adult daughter Shari posted the words, "Finally, and today has been a big day." Her official statement reads, "Me and my family are so glad justice is being served. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, and so glad they finally decided to step up."
The family dynamic is hard to understand. We see maybe a few social media posts from Shari, none of the other children. So it's hard to tell the exact standing of the relationship. They've got to be exhausted by all of this, and it's got to be frightening for them.
This is only part of the story. When we return, Ruby Franke makes a decision that upends the case, and secrets are revealed about what actually happened to the Franke children.
I think I share the same reaction that a lot of people share.
Business associate Jodi Hildebrandt are arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse of 2 of Franke's young children. But one lingering question remains. What about Kevin Franke, Ruby's husband and the children's father?
There's Ruby, there's our camera, here's Kevin, here's our other...
Cause there ain't no way he ain't know this stuff was going on, obviously in his own home. Over here like, where's this dude? You supposed to be the man of the house. It feels like she's the man of this relationship and the house. Like, what the heck?
Camera, this is where I pick you up and we're going on our trip. Sherry's first European vacation.
He was shocked, devastated, hurt, felt deceived, didn't know any of that was going on. He hadn't seen his kids for 12 months or more and didn't know that they were even in Ivan's. Kevin very much loved his children and loved his wife and had a strong bond with all of his kids. But Ruby felt like there were differences in their marriage, and at one point, in conjunction with Jodi Hildebrandt, it was sort of like, we have to separate to save our marriage. You know, we'll keep working on our marriage, but for now, you have to be away. And you have to work on yourself and don't have contact with the kids.
Ruby Franke's separation from Kevin Franke is textbook from what we've heard from other people about Jodi Hildebrandt. It is very similar to what other couples have gone through. There were people that came to us and say, Jodi ripped apart my marriage.
Kevin was attending men's groups that were...
This woman, people are letting this woman mess up their relationships. You must really believe her. And you know, there people do, because Jodi did. Is that her name, Jodi or Ruby? Ruby. You know, that's just, it's interesting. I always say interesting. It's interesting how people can allow someone to, like, mentally attack them that bad to the point that it ruins a marriage. This is a lot. Maybe he didn't know what was going on. I think they say he'd been gone. If y'all hear some noise, that's my dog sleep over here. He sounds like he's sleeping comfortably. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is a crazy case. It's like it's so like mental and psychological, just physical abuse. I can't wait till I get to the trials, because I'm watching the trials on here too, y'all. I will be watching those.
Facilitated by Jodi. He was being downgraded and diminished and told how bad he was and that he needed to repent, and that the best way to repent was to not infect his family with his problems, and that's why you need to stay away.
Despite the apparent separation, Ruby allegedly reaches out to Kevin just before she's arrested.
He was working. I need you to come get the kids. He, of course, tore down there, not knowing any of the details of all this that was going on till he got there.
Following the arrest of Jodi Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke, the case slows down. That is until December 2023, when it's suddenly back in the headlines.
I got a note from Ruby's attorney about a week or so before they were going to notice of the waiver hearing. That is waiving the right to a preliminary hearing. In many cases, it means no trial, you can enter your plea agreement. Ruby Franke's statement from her attorneys on that Friday before the hearing said, initially, Ms. Franke believed that Jodi Hildebrandt had the insight to offer a path to continual improvement. Ms. Hildebrandt took advantage of this quest and twisted it into something heinous. Ms. Hildebrandt systematically isolated Ms. Franke from her extended family, older children, her husband Kevin Franke. They took the liberty to use most of that statement by pointing the finger at Jodi Hildebrandt.
Ms. Franke, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse?
Before that starts, we still need to say that no matter if she did, because the woman is an evil people. I think anybody who do anything bad is evil. Jeez. It's like you still took from that, you still did it to your child. So yeah, I don't care if she pointed the finger. It's like both of y'all equally the same in my eyes.
It's a second-degree felony.
Guilty.
To count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony.
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony.
Guilty.
And to count 6, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony.
with my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children. Guilty.
Ruby's motivation behind pleading guilty was to not put her children through this extended process where she's fighting it and the children potentially have to get up and testify. I think she obviously very clearly wants to reconcile with her children. So I think that there was a notion of her letting her children know that she was taking accountability for it, that she recognized what she did was wrong, and that she's going to be better going forward.
I don't believe that. I believe she just did that to feel sympathy. After all of this stuff, I doubt it. I don't even have to have he can even sit there and say that. Like, what? Accountability. They all do when they have to go to prison. All these family people who hurt their family, they all do this when it's coming to the end. Maybe she do feel remorse, but it's like she done too much in my eyes to like even believe her. And I don't even know this woman. I don't know this woman, and this was emotionally stressful to watch this.
This morning, Ruby Franke pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. The state agreed to dismiss the 2 other counts of child abuse. And she agrees, I'll read this one verbatim. She agrees to testify truthfully against Jodi Hildebrandt, and in return the Washington County Attorney's Office agrees to remain neutral regarding future hearings before the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole.
They needed Ruby to be there to say, look, Jodi was kind of the linchpin in all of this. She knew everything that was going on, and she was advising me. This is what she told me to do. When you're talking about co-defendants in cases like this, it's not uncommon for a prosecutor to try to find one to cooperate against the other.
And Ruby Franke's plea agreement is how the world finds out exactly what happened to her 2 youngest children, Russell and Eve.
Some of the things that kind of came out with the plea form that weren't in the initial booking statement, when you go through and you look at the injuries associated with Russell, Ruby had boots on and was involved in kicking him while he was on the ground. She admits to holding his head underwater. Obviously incredibly concerning.
The tying up and then the emaciation and the malnourishment. They talk about how the 2 children were forced.
Yeah, y'all. I just kicking and holding a child's head underwater. Yeah, I don't care what they say. I don't care what that man said. No remorse in my head for that woman. I don't care if that woman brainwashed her to do this. I don't care. Like, that is an evil person to do some stuff like this. I don't care. So I told you, these abusers, they always feel guilty once they get caught. How do you even do that to somebody? Like, how do you physically abuse a child? Disgusting people, and she did not deserve to have kids.
Do physical tasks for hours, even days at a time, like carrying boxes, full books up and down stairs, working outside in the desert climate. They were denied water. They were doing so without shoes.
Wait,
in
what?
the summer heat, they were out in the direct sunlight for several days. They were blistering. But there was also part of the abuse about the isolation from other people. They were basically shunned, therefore leading to both of them having severe emotional harm from being treated differently.
Questions remain. What does this mean for Jodi Hildebrandt? And will Ruby Franke...
How do you know if you are a controlling parent? If you're in a position of power and you turn your power and give it over to the kids, that is control.
Utah, December 2023. Once popular YouTuber Ruby Franke has pled guilty to 4 counts of child abuse against 2 of her own children.
We will be talking all about empowering your children through setting boundaries, teaching them responsibility, and helping them to heal from anxiety. Hope to see you there.
But with Franke's admission of guilt and willingness to testify against her co-defendant, mental health counselor Jodi Hildebrandt, could Hildebrandt fight her child abuse charges at trial?
There's a possible defense of appropriate parenting. There are different situations where maybe you're acting in a way to defend yourself, or you're defending another one of your children from maybe a violent sibling. When you're talking about serious bodily injuries, it's a question of, I didn't do it intentionally, it was really more recklessly. So at that point, it's more of a defense about level of punishment.
But just like Ruby Franke, Jodi Hildebrandt decides not to put up a fight.
Ms. Hildebrandt, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 6, also aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
Once Ruby pled guilty and she knew that Ruby was going to testify against her, her case became a lot more difficult because, again, some of the conduct that Jodi is accused of and was charged with is the stuff that Ruby was doing to the kids.
In her plea agreement, Jodi Hildebrandt admits to participating in the child abuse, but she has one more disturbing detail to add.
The other concerning thing about Eve is the fact that she did have to jump into the cactus. According to the plea form that Jodi filled out, she made her jump into the cactus multiple times.
On February 20th, 2024, the duo were officially sentenced. Franke was up first.
She committed horrible acts of child abuse. From May to August in 2023, Ms. Franke and her business partner held her 2 children, ages 9 and 11, turning 12, in a concentration camp-like setting. Had the older of the children not had the courage to run away and ask a neighbor to call the police, heaven only knows how much longer he could have survived in that situation.
For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion. My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me. I was led to believe that this world was an evil place, filled with cops who control, hospitals that injure, government agencies that brainwash, husbands who refuse to protect, and children who need abused. Kevin, my husband of more than 23 years, you are the love of my life. I'm so sorry to leave to you to finish what we both started together. To my babies, I was so disoriented that I believed dark was light and light was wrong. I will do anything in this world for you. I'm committed to continuing my learning until all of my toxic layers are shed, and I am ready to re-enter as a contributing member of our beautiful society.
The sentence will have 4 counts, 4 1 to 15-year sentences based on her convictions for 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. They will serve consecutively.
And then it was Jodi Hildebrandt's turn.
I sincerely love these children.
Well, I think that all abusers say that. They start off with that. They're so sorry that they love the children. If that was true, you wouldn't have hurt them. You know, I know these it's like your last statement to like appeal to people so they can feel sorry for you, to make it like more emotional. Okay, I wouldn't even let her talk. I wouldn't let neither one of them talk. Even Ruby, her statement was not sad to me. I'm like, y'all are freaking abusers, and if that's true, because that's like what she said, that little girl, she made the little girl run into cactuses, and you know, it was true what that man said, how this is basically like a concentration camp. The stuff they would put through labor, and it was like beaten. Oh my God, it's so sad. They had a nice home, they're supposed to have a nice life, and you got her ruining it because of her views of, not wanting order, not wanting the kids to take over your house. Them kids are so afraid of you. It's so sad that it got to that point. Yeah, you were like, she was not able, and she did not need kids. I feel like just so many people don't need kids. And then you let this, when she was with her husband, y'all was married for 20 years, and you let this woman ruin your marriage. I don't understand that. I don't care how manipulative people can be. There's no way. 20 years.
I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally. One of the reasons I did not go to trial is that I did not want them to emotionally relive the experience which would have been detrimental to them. My hope and prayer is that they will heal and move forward to have beautiful lives.
But not everyone was buying what Jodi was selling.
The fact that she was being held accountable was completely, I'm still having a hard time coming to terms with that. This is something that I have been trying to talk about for almost 15 years, and people that needed to hear didn't listen. Nothing was done. It's so obviously a manipulation tactic to save face. She knows exactly what she's doing. You don't get accused and convicted of child torture and then suddenly are like, oh, I just really care about these children's healing. Like, that's not what happens.
I almost fell over in the courtroom when I heard Jodi say that she loved those children. Jodi doesn't love children. Jodi's like Ted Bundy.
After being caught, Ms. Hildebrandt has shown little to no remorse for her actions. In telephone conversations that will be provided in full to the Board of Pardons and Parole, and which she knew to be recorded, she's repeatedly claimed that she is the victim and the children are the perpetrators. She has gone so far as to say that the things said in this proceeding and covered by the media today will be full of lies.
Ms. Hildebrandt, the circumstance is tragic. It's largely, of course, of your making. By any measure, your conduct in this case was disastrous for these children. Adults are supposed to protect children. Adults with specialized training in particular are supposed to protect children. You didn't do that. In this case, you terrorized children.
Like Ruby Franke, the judge sentenced Jodi Hildebrandt to 4 consecutive sentences.
Given that these are second-degree felonies, the most they'd be looking at on the top end felonies, the most they'd be looking at on the top end is 30 years. They're not going to do 30 years. There will be a matrix that's run.
Probably like
they
half
don't have
that.
a criminal history, so they'll be on the bottom row. For the second-degree felony, it's 18 months. That's kind of the minimum. And then the Board of Pardons and Parole gets the opportunity to decide if they're going to get the chance at parole at that 18-month mark, or if they need more time in prison. And the board will look at several different things. Have they done any treatment? What has their overall demeanor been like while they've been in custody? What do the children want to happen here? Ruby and Jodi, by my math, are looking at a minimum of 39.6 months.
This is one of the worst child abuse cases that we've seen. I think that a 4-year minimum for Ruby's actions are entirely appropriate. I hope that Jodi serves more time than that, and I hope that she isn't out of prison until everybody is completely confident that she's no longer a risk.
With Hildebrandt and Franke behind bars, the next chapter of this story begins. Kevin Franke has officially filed for divorce from Ruby, and at the time of this recording is actively fighting to regain custody of his young children.
Once he found out the full truth about how these children had been treated while they were in Ruby's care and some other things that have been going on behind the scenes, just thought it was the right time to do this. In terms of getting the kids back, there's a process that the court sets up, and in terms of helping them become rehabilitated from the trauma they've been through with Ruby and Jodi. I think that's the state's objective, is to work them through that, as is Kevin.
Unless you've had this level of narcissistic or psychopathic abuse, I can't explain it to you. And then you have the layers of your children. They don't have the biological mental facilities to understand what's going on. And this is not going away. These children are going to deal with this potentially for the rest of their lives. It doesn't stop. This nearly killed me. Trust your instincts. Build up that muscle of intuition, because the things that you're feeling are true. So ask the questions. Trust yourself, so people like Jodi and Franke are not held in positions of power. And they can be your neighbors, they can be your aunts, they can be your mothers.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. So I got to the bottom of now I know the full story. And this is we're only getting started with this series because there's so much more and more evidence found, y'all. I wouldn't say, well, probably another man said this is the worst case ever. I'm actually it's not that I've seen. There's a lot of more abuse cases that in insanely, which I should do one on here because I know so many and I got a lot saved, y'all, that I be researching. But maybe in that little town, you know, they're in. But jeez, you know, little kids are weak. Their bodies, they're not meant to be doing like crazy push-ups and stuff. They're meant to just live life and enjoy it and grow strong so they can become stronger. They're not meant for like meal labor. That's what she was doing, meal labor. That's a good analogy, you know, because, you know, you put all this stuff on meals. That's what she was doing. When I was about the meals and like the donkeys, okay? Like the stuff that they carry. I just, you know, you, like she said at the end, you definitely gotta trust your gut, look at your surroundings, people with kids. I don't know, what is it like? I don't feel sorry for neither one of those women. Those idiotic women who did not deserve, I hope she don't get her kids back. She did not need her kids back. I actually wouldn't even, to be honest, I wouldn't even give them to the dad, because I'm like, where has he been? Like, he said he didn't know any of this was going on. You don't check on your kids? I just thought that was weird, and I hope that, I wonder if there's more to that. I just don't trust that one. You know, I'm just like, you don't know nothing. You let this woman manipulate you that much. Is that even possible to get manipulated like that much? I know people do it, but like, I just can't imagine. You know, I can't imagine that because I never had that happen to me. I can't imagine somebody manipulating you to that extent to leave your family, to like go, just go. Like, you left her, you left your kids with this woman and you don't know what's going on. I just find this a little shady. I feel like it's more into that. And Jodi, an evil, disgusting, foul human being. You know, she looked crazy. I'm not surprised. You know, people like that, they just constantly talk like they're really talking about something and they're really not. It's just nonstop bull, okay? Nothing she was saying made sense. How about this? If it was making sense, how about you take your own advice? And you know the scariest part of this? They had a following, a big following. I watched the Dad Challenge podcast. Love it. And I seen one video, like a clip of him talking about the part of this, and just like a clip of some of the stuff Ruby was saying. And I'm like, people like listen to this. There's people who believe in like her method of parenting, and I'm just like, no, the stuff she do. The fact that the wound was the worst part. They said like Tabasco or something, like honey on the wound. Why would you make a child be in pain like that? So I'm pretty sure on the next one we're gonna be getting into like what it looked like, what the room looked like, evidence, pictures, because I want to see them. I'm not gonna look at anything until I do the reaction, guys, because I want to be surprised like y'all. But there's a lot of evidence out here that's with this case. So I kind of said enough through the video. I was trying to pause it so I don't have to really remember everything I was saying, okay? I'm just getting started with this one, and this is going to be a series on here out because I want to react to this series. And I definitely didn't think it was like this bad, but yeah, it's bad. This emotional torture that she tortured these kids, and thank God one of her kids got out and was like so happy that she was put away. And they, like I said, these abusers, they always try to sound sad so people can feel bad for them. Why would you? How dare you? It's so disrespectful for that parent, for that person to feel bad when you hurt your child. Why should we feel sorry for you at all? I actually hope you get taken advantage of in prison, both of them. So yeah, on that note, I'll let you guys go. I will see you on the next video. Bye. Man, my dog is, what are you going for? You tired? Dude, you just woke up. Bye.